Peace and blessings. I hope you guys are doing well. All praises to the Most High. All praises to our Mellah King Yahushua Mashiach. For without him, where would we be? I just want to get on here and just to discuss a little bit of what is and what will forever be. But before I get into that, I want to say, after I posted that video last night of my visit to the cardiologist, I was heavily attacked spiritually. And it's interesting because I knew that they were trying to induce sleep paralysis upon me. So they had sent their little demons, and interestingly enough, all praise to the Most High, with sleep paralysis, there's a sensation that comes over your entire body. Okay. And usually it's when you're it's the space between you falling into a deep sleep and you still being awake, or having knowledge of that before you fall into a deep sleep, if that makes any sense. So there's a space in between that where sleep paralysis is induced, because usually they do not induce sleep paralysis when you are in a full tranquil state and your body is in an idle state, should I say. It always has to be that space in between you falling into a deep sleep to you being totally aware. Not that they need you to be aware of when they're going to induce it, but it's much harder to induce sleep paralysis upon people if you are in an idle state. Because once you reach that idle state, they have to play around with dream seeding, and dream weaving is another word for it as well. That's how they make contracts, as we know. So they attempted to do that. But what I said that was so interesting is the fact that they didn't pin me down. How people say they call it the devil riding your back, that type of thing, because it's imps that they are sending, these little demons. And I knew what they were trying to do. They were attempting to hook up to my body. So I started feeling this sensation on the right side of my body, and then it alternated to the left side of my body, but it started from my brain, right? So I knew that they were toying around with my synaptic maps. And they were playing around with, my brain signature to try to figure out ways to enter in my gates. And obviously, I thwarted that with what I know. So they were unsuccessful. But they kept doing it. It was about 3 attempts. But I was still able to move around and all of that, and to combat it. Number one, they were pissed off because I made that video, and then I made it plain, you understand, on what I was going to do in response to them not giving me what I want. And like I said all I wanted was concrete proof. Provide that for me on what it is that's going on in my body, and then I'll just go ahead and give it to the Most High. But clearly you guys don't want to. You don't want to do that. So, yeah. Let the games begin, I guess. Now, I want to talk about what's happening in the world. Now, anyone who is already briefed about things in the scriptures, you already know the prophecies, they are taking fold. So there's nothing that anyone can do about it. Okay. All they can do is take out their frustration and anger and hatred towards the Most High upon his people, as we know already. Okay. Because they're pissed off that they're in this rut, and ultimately what comes next is their end. So they want to try to end as many of us as possible, because that's the only way that they can feel like they have won, because they know that they've already lost. Because there's no winning when you've created war or made war against the Most High and or his people. The stuff that's taking place in the world right now, there's a lot of cataclysmic things that's going to continue to take place. I would not say that the war that's happening right now is actually the worst thing, because we already know that that's prophesied in scripture as well to come to pass, which is why the Most High is, of course, using certain nations to come against each other, specifically the United States of America. But people need to understand, and I've said this from the beginning, that the United States government they are the biggest snakes, okay? They are the biggest. And this is why I like to call her the cake topper. The U.S. is the cake topper, because she's the one, as scripture says, that's went around and hoard with many other nations and showed all these other nations how to be wicked, or how to outdo the wickedness of the ancestors, everyone's ancestors. And that's what you see happening now. You see still, she puts on a great face. I'll say that. America puts on a great face. They have better access to media, to be able to control, manipulate the reception and or the responses to the actions of the individuals in the United States, whether you are foreign to now soil, or whether you are born on soil and you are international and then you cycle back around. At the end of the day, she's trying very hard to blur the lines, to still lie. And another key thing that I want you guys to take away from this and to remember, I told y'all that they were going to start killing, okay? There was going to be this uptick of celebrity deaths. Now, we're not going to get into the semantics of, okay, well, this celebrity's not really dead, that celebrity's not really dead. At the end of the day, like I said, there's many forms of sacrificing, okay? Just because that person is no longer here, and we can't prove that, all we can go by is what's being displayed in the media, right? But in actuality, we know that that person was still sacrificed regardless, whether it was their image or whether it was their life force as a whole. Okay, that was the character or the person that they decided to do away with. That person signed up for it and it was time for them to leave. Okay, I told you that it will be an uptick of celebrity deaths. Not only with celebrity deaths, but there is going to be an uptick with just death, period. Because the fallen needs an immense amount of bloodshed to bring about these false flag events. And these people don't even have to know why they've taken so much aggression and hostility towards other nations. All they need to know is that it's for some carnal reason, right? So they'll never really know the truth, even though they know prophecy. And of course, they're trying to preempt that by any means necessary. But there's no way that you can preempt that, because the Most High deals in preemption. So it's his job to preempt any and everything that the fallen is doing. Okay, so that they can do what he wants them to do, whether they feel like they're doing it out of their own volition or they're doing it for their own benefit. It does not matter, because at the end of the day, they're going to be destroyed. So what better way to do it is by destroying each other, which is going to happen anyways, especially when it comes down to resources, because we know that America is greedy. America is greedy. Okay, so she's giving fellatio to as many nations as she possibly can right now, because they're pulling out of her. Their pullout game is strong. Like, let's just keep it a buck. Their pullout game is very, very strong. And there's nothing that America can do to try to further create these peace deals to lessen the blow. No. You understand? It does not work like that. It's nothing different from these pork chop eating preachers on the pulpit who are assimilated to these cults. They know they've taken the oath and they're still getting up there on the pulpit trying to preach the Most High's word, but really you're corrupted and the Holy Spirit then left you. But they think that somehow they can still find grace and mercy within the Most High because they feel like they're still doing a good deed. It's the same thing with good karma, bad karma, these spiritual gurus who likes to play with spiritual attraction, of those things, consummating deals with devils so that they can gain higher status, be it monetary, education, spiritual ranking. Like I said, this is what these people do because they feel like, oh, well, at least if I'm helping out homeless people, then that will lessen my punishment in the lake. This is what they all think. This is what they all think. Okay, all this bad that I did this year, let me go ahead next year and make sure that I do more philanthropy so that it can lessen the judgment that I'm going to receive later on down the line. This is just how they operate. Okay? This is how they operate. Okay? And that's what you see happening with America right now. She's very, very vulnerable. She is naked. But as we know America, she feels like, hey, well, look, this is what I've always used as my seduction and my nakedness to make all the other nations fall. But this time, it is not going to work. And it's not working. These nations are starting to see and have seen exactly how the United States government is and how they operate, and the people who are assimilated to them. My biggest exclamation is, so-called black folks, we need not to get involved in any of the foreign policy that's going on. We need not get involved. All you need to do is watch the show. But as we know, y'all are misled too. So you're going to jump on the bandwagon with your country. You're going to jump on the bandwagon with whatever nation that you married out of the community for, and whom you're going to stand with in the end. That's why you're going to fall with America when it comes toppling down. Hey, listen, I'm not saying anything that hasn't already been dictated to you guys. I'm not saying anything that has not already been written. I'm just affirming it. So yeah, it is an I told you so moment. For me, it is. This whole idea about cloning, I have to say this because I think that this theory has been perpetuated. And once upon a time, I did believe that they were cloning people until I was given revelation that they're not actually cloning people the way that people really think that they're cloning you. All they're cloning is your brain signature. If you've seen the movie Skyline, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So they cannot clone you physically. They can play around with certain DNA strands. And of course, if a woman goes into the doctor to get a pap smear or whatever, you don't know what those doctors are doing down there. This is the reason why also you've seen this irregular uptick with certain black women who are having twins. One is coming out white, the other one's coming out black, or you've had white women producing black children, this type of thing, because they're playing around with people's DNA. Now, to get back to the whole cloning idea. So these celebrities, and this is where the doppelganger effect comes into play. Because if you look up doppelganger, the pedigree of that, the meaning of it means devil or ghost, which is demonic, fallen spirits or familiar spirits, right? All demonic. So if you look up doppelganger, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So if anyone's claiming to have a doppelganger, that's not a clone. That's just someone that you share DNA with. Okay? That's it. And it's easy for them to get their hands on our DNA. We go to the doctors, we go to the dentist. So yeah, it's very easy for them to get their hands on our blood. But I would argue that the Most High is not allowing for his holy people to be doppelganged. He's not. He's not allowing for them to be doppelganged. It's just not going to happen. He will allow for them to do that. It's the same as selective breeding, what the fallen has done. Same thing. Okay. So these celebrities know that their DNA is spliced and shared all over the planet. So this is why they have a lot of stunt doubles, or sometimes a person will think that they're seeing their lookalikes and it's really them, but it's not them out in public. It's their lookalikes. That's the reason why you cannot touch them, because clearly they are an investment and they're heavily protected. You can't get close to them because these are not real people like you and I. They're not real people. So the cloning idea, no, they can clone animals. Okay, they can do that. Play around with animal DNA. We already know that. They can clone animals. Yeah, that's easy to do. But as far as people, they're not doing that. Otherwise, we would all be a clone. We all would. And to some degree, that does have some level of relevance only in the space of this, is that they're not cloning your genetics. What they're cloning is your brain signature. And they're copying your synaptic maps and its circuitry, because they don't need human beings anymore. I've been telling you this. The intelligence of just human beings, if you want to call yourself that, human, which is the appearance of, that's what hue means, right? What I'm saying about that is that all that is them being able to use what they've copied as it pertains to your brain signature, because they're going to use that for their bots. I've been telling you guys this. We've given AI what AI needs today. And to some degree, not all of us, but I can only say we, because when I didn't know any better, you had me then. So whatever you were able to copy then is what you have today, as well as any mistakes that I've made leading up to today. You understand? That's the only thing that they can use, because a bot is not going to make those mistakes. The manufacturing and programming is just going to be set to obey. Okay. And this is the reason why AI, before it even started, was already a failure, because it doesn't have any emotional intelligence. This is what differentiates a bot AI from a so-called human being. A human being has the ability to navigate emotions. A bot does not. And that's what they want, because they do not want a power struggle when it comes to overtaking an individual who happens to be a human being, especially when you have to get them to do certain things. Because like I said, at the end of the day, the mind is fragile. It's going to crack. It's going to fragment. It's going to break. And they think that, oh, okay, we can just slip a demon in you or two or more, and then we'll still have control over you because we got our demons in you. And that has shown to not be promising at all. It's not promising at all, because these bodies do break down. So that's what it's all about. And those bots are going to be used for the great showdown when Hamashiach returns. That's what that's about. In a nutshell, that's exactly what it's about. Now, when we get to World War III, okay, because that is inevitable. It's going to happen, okay? Without getting too detailed, I'll just say, just be ready. Just be ready. And once again, I got to say to my people out there, you guys are still going to go out there and protest because you're going to listen to all of these immigrants tell you, well, you guys know struggle. You guys know vassalage. You know oppression. How is it that you will malign yourself with this country and they're trying to do this to us? They're killing us. They did it to you. So why not stand up for the betterment of the human race? You see, and this is where it always boils down to. Whenever it is another nations, and because they've been united under the Confederacy, these nations have, they feel like, well, as a human being, we should just come together, period. When in actuality, the great separation has already happened. Everybody has already picked their side. And I know this for certain. Everyone has. Whether you are knowingly doing it or unknowingly doing it. But like I said, you know what you do when the lights cut out. You know what you do when you get up. You know what your intention is. It's already set before you walk out the threshold of your abode. You know. No one has to use the NSA to put cameras, sneak, and figure out what you're doing. No, it's already being seen. Because you make it so. So this has been a long time coming. It is a scary time. Indeed it is. But also, it is a big, great, victorious moment in the history of civilization. And the world as we know it will never be the same. So what is will forever and always be. There's nothing we can do about it but accept it for what it is. If you want to get right, get right. And if not, you know what to do. Folks out there, I love you. Stay vigilant, stay prayed up, but most of all, keep watch. And always give glory to the Most High. Peace.